What's up, Lindon? How you doing? I got for everybody that's watching, I got a Nashville cat, guitar player, gunslinger on the line with me, and old friend Lindon McCarty. So thanks for joining me, man.
What's up, man? How are you? It's good to see your beautiful face.
And this cow that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Good to see you too, man. What's this hat you got on?
Oh man, it's Southern Miss, University of Southern Mississippi. It's their old school logo.
Okay, why did you go there? No,
Yeah.
you went to UNT.
I went to UNT, but I went to Southern Miss for 2 years actually.
Okay.
And just because both my parents worked there, so I went for free.
That is what's up.
Yeah, I had like a scholarship and then like a discount, the parental discount. Yeah, and then went to UNT after that.
Were they professors or were they just like alumni, and so therefore you get?
My mom was she worked for she wasn't a professor, she was a librarian at the school for disabilities, and then my dad was actually a geology professor.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's okay, so that makes sense. Okay. That's
cool.
That's great, man. I feel like education is
a great school, man.
I can't believe why didn't you stay if you're getting it for free?
Because the guy who runs the jazz program there is Larry Piniella, and he went to UNC. So I kind of found out about that school from him, and then from the Snarky Puppy guys when they were in Hattiesburg.
Okay.
This was like their very first tour. I met them at this place called the Thirsty Hippo. And then I think they came and did a clinic, maybe if not that time, then the next time that they came through. This was like maybe 2005, 2006. Okay. And Mike was telling me about UNT and him and Mike League from Snarky Pup. And then Justin Stanton, who plays keys and trumpet for them. They had a lot of the same guys, but some different guys back in that day. But they were all UNT students at the time. So they were like, man, UNT is a great school. You should check it out if you're ever looking to transfer to a different school. So I did. And then I ended up transferring there. And all those guys were still in school as well, which was great because I got to go to Dallas. And basically I would drive Mike and Justin down to jam sessions in Dallas and get my ass whooped.
Yeah, I feel like I only hear great things about Dallas, probably from you mainly.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, everybody talks about it. It's just like is it still like a hub for just
man. There's something in the water, man. There's just there's guys that aren't necessarily like well-known internationally or nationally guitar players, but they're just amazing guitar players.
Right.
And they've got that good mix of like, maybe like a jazz harmonic palette, and also they've got that blues soul thing going on. There's also the crossover of kind of like Chicago is starting to get the crossover of gospel and jazz. So like those, the people who play those genres are playing gigs together and making music that results in stuff like Snarky Pup,
Right.
Them meeting Bernard Wright at those jam sessions that we were at is a huge influence on their writing. It was cool, man. It's great to see all that.
Did you ever play gigs with those cats, or was it like, were they older? I'm assuming they're older than you.
Yeah, I don't know that I ever gigged with any of them, actually. I certainly went to see them play everything from a standards, wallpaper gig to Snarky Puppy shows at places in Denton and Dallas. Yeah.
That's so cool, man.
And I think I played with them at jam sessions, but never on gigs or anything else.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like, I feel like most people just see the success, they don't see the fact that they were frickin' touring in a van for whatever 10 years before anything really happened.
Yeah, it's like, I would say yeah, definitely at least 10 years before they were like mega star, at least, you know, in the instrumental and music world.
It's crazy. People are like, oh yeah, you guys, you know, you blew up, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, like no, we've been
yeah.
grinding for like
No, I
10
grinded.
years.
Yeah. I mean, I think everybody at this point knows the story about Mike maxing out a credit card
Right.
for you know, an album or a tour or something. I don't know the full story, but yeah, I mean, that's the kind of dedication those guys have.
I think that's what it takes, man. I feel like, you know, some lucky guys and gals, you know, it happens for them right when, you know, like a Billie Eilish, when they're 13, she uploads a song to SoundCloud, the next night it's like, you know, your people love you. But most people, it ain't like that, you know. You got to kind of
Yeah.
grind. And so a little backstory. So me and Lyndon lived in Chicago together for, man, a long time, right? And
I was
how
there for
long?
7 years. Yeah. I probably met you I remember I met you in either 2012 or 2013.
Yep. Okay. And I moved there summer of 2011. So I would have been there for like a year and a half. And man, we used to shed. You remember when we used to shed like jazz standards? We just picked tunes, you know, like it didn't
Yeah.
matter. Like, you know, you pick any song, music, and we're like, all right, we're gonna learn these 2 songs this week, and you shed over it and you shit all over it, and then
Yeah.
but that's how you kind of develop it, an understanding. And I feel like that practice for me is like still kind of how I like to learn songs, even like in LA,
Yeah.
like, you know, I'll get together with folks, and if I'm uncomfortable with a song, you know, like you know, years ago we'd shed Actual Proof. You know, everybody would fuck up over it, but that's how you get good, man. It's like
I still fuck up over that song.
yeah, me too, of course.
Yeah.
Like, everybody does, but I think that's part of the like beauty of it. You know, it's like you kind of like you push the boundary, you keep like seeing how far you'll go, and then like the universe just expands for you. Like,
Dude,
you
yeah.
keep pushing.
Those Guitar Mageddon hangs were
Yeah.
with you and me and Justin Canavan and Anders Nordstrom were some of the, I mean, it just the way that you get pushed when you're playing with your friends like that. You're like, you know, it, especially like learning new songs, you're like, man, the fuck did you just play?
Right.
You got to show me that lick. Or like, you know, you play the song and then like everybody's so crushing and you're just like, oh man, I sucked. I got to go home and practice. Or you know that the next time that you guys play, everybody's going to be crushing. So you got to practice your ass off so you don't look like a fool, you know?
Totally, man. And that was like some of the biggest inspiration watching you guys. Everybody had their own thing, but then people would say, I remember Canavan would be like, oh, let's learn 1,000 ways, you know, or 100 ways. 100 ways, you know, the Quincy.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting it, blanking on his name, but like everybody would call different style tunes, and Anders would call different style tunes. You call style of tune, and like we just built up, I feel like, our repertoire. It was so great. And the hang is just like great hang.
Of course, but yeah, the hang was great. Always great.
Man, but
yeah,
so
man.
now you've been in Nashville. How many years has it been?
Just not even a year. I moved here July 1st of 2019.
Wow. So you're at like 10 months essentially.
Yeah.
So how are you liking it? What's the scene like? What's your lane kind of down there? What's been going
on? So pretty much right away, I laid some groundwork. You know, I was going down there maybe 3 or 4 times a year, and I had friends who were already there, and either from Texas or from Mississippi. Couple. Is there anybody from Chicago? A couple of people from Chicago and Megan Hickman. So pretty much right away, I was able to kind of like network. I'd say like 2 or 3 weeks in, I started getting like road work. And
badass. Obviously
that
doesn't surprise.
Yeah. I mean, I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to happen that quick. I was just thankful I didn't have to like, you know, go pick up a shift at Postmates, you know, delivering food, which is probably what I'm gonna have to do now. And now nobody's got gigs ever again.
No shame in it.
Ain't no shame. I mean, I picked up dog shit in Chicago for at least a year.
The grind is real, man.
so I did a lot of road work at first, and then I kind of started picking up Broadway gigs, which is not like the theater Broadway, it's the tourist street
Right.
named Broadway, and it's just bar gigs, and it'll be like, dog shit pay, like $50 base pay, but you'll have like 20 bachelor parties come through, and you're playing for tips, and you can walk out with like 300.
Right.
So did that whole thing. I've done a couple of session things. The majority of the session stuff that I do is still for producers in Chicago that still thankfully hit me up. And man, what else? I'd say that's about it, man. I did not get to know Nashville very well. Still don't know Nashville that well, because the majority of the time I'm just on the road, I'm on the road, maybe let's say like Thursday through Sunday, and then I've got Monday through Wednesday to just like, well, I've got a church gig now, so I'm not usually out on Sundays, but even still, it's just like Sunday's recovery day, or maybe even Monday, and then I'm like, washing clothes, and I'm back out on the road. So
what kind of road gigs are you doing? Like what genres, or if you're able to tell artists and kind of?
Yeah, it's all country.
Okay.
One guy, his name is Johnny Cochran, which is obviously the same name as the lawyer, and he said he like has to say I'm not the lawyer and everything, but he's a great guy, great writer, great guitar player. And the other dude that I haven't done, I don't think I've done anything with him this year, but I did a lot with him last year. His name's Ben Gallaher. He's another great guitar player, great writer. He's with Warner Chappell as a songwriter, so one of the publishing houses around here. And then other than that, I've done some other stuff with different kind of artists around the area, but they've been mostly just kind of one-off and freelance type stuff, a little weekend run here or there. Yeah, so none of these are like, it's not like what you do with Sabrina. It's not like a 2-month long tour, These are, the way Nashville largely works is that it's like 4 hours from everything, or
there's
7 hours from everything. Yeah,
it's so central to so many southern and whatever, so much real estate you can cover.
So there's just a lot of weekend runs. That's just kind of how it is very logistically doable.
Right.
Yeah, just because it's location,
And what type of like setup are you running? Are you running like on a bus? Or are you kind of doing a van?
Oh no, I wish. We're doing the van thing.
Hell yeah.
I've got friends, like that's the hierarchy, right? Everybody wants to get on the bus and be able to not sit like knees to your
Luckily
to
we're
your
short.
chest. Yeah, right. I tell everybody I'm travel size, man.
Yeah,
I'm a travel size human. Yeah.
And when you
I was gonna say in the van, I'm like just the right size that I can lay down sideways, and my head won't be touching the side of the van.
Do you guys have neck rests with like some vans, like the seats, like you don't have a headrest? You can't, like, you're
right.
Man,
I bring a full fucking pillow, man. I bring like the most comfortable pillow I possibly can. And then nobody else does, and then they want to put their fucking sweaty head on my pillow.
Oh, that's gross.
No, guys, if you're seeing this, bring your own pillow.
BYOP.
BYOP.
Dude, I did a tour with JC Brooks like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, whatever. And we did the US. We did the whole US. It was like East Coast, West Coast. So it ended up being the whole US and Canada. And like the van we borrowed, like, or rented or whatever, we didn't have, there was like no neck rest, bro. So like literally it was like up to your shoulder blade, and you're trying to sleep, and you're like, your neck, you'd wake up with like the fucking worst king. And I'm like, I'm sure at some point, like, hopefully I don't have to do that again, but at some point, maybe, who knows, like, I'm not above anything, like we might have to do that again, it's like, but man, I can remember that, and I don't wish that upon anyone. So it's nice. I'm glad that you're only doing like 4 hours, and things because if you
Oh
got a
no,
12, 13.
Dude, I did a 22-hour drive. That's the longest drive. We went out to Fargo and took 2 days, Fargo, North Dakota, to
Yeah.
get out there. On the way back, we ended up having to go straight back because I had a gig. And yeah, we did 22 hours straight of just taking 4-hour shifts driving. And then we had a sleeper in the back.
It's
So,
so
dude, yeah,
nuts.
that no headrest thing, man. I feel like I'm gonna die every time I'm sitting there without a headrest because you're just gonna feel like you're gonna get in a wreck and your head's just gonna snap back.
Yeah, and you find like a comfy spot for like 5-10 minutes, and you're like, "Oh, this is it."
Right.
And then you try it, and then
Seatbelt starts digging in.
Yeah. Man, so when you go out, are you usually bringing your own just like guitar, pedal board, and then like, backline the amp kind of thing?
Some places backline the amp, but I'm also really picky. Like,
Right.
If it's not an amp I'm really familiar with, or if it's an amp that I don't like, I can't get the tone out of it that I want to have, then I'm just not going to play as well.
Right.
So I have no problem lugging around lots of heavy shit just to sound good.
So what's the heavy shit of your choosing then?
I just got a 1967 Bassman. Yeah, dog, it sounds great. So that'll be going out, but I gotta, it's basically kind of depends on what I have a road case for at this point. I was taking out a deluxe reverb reissue because it's just, I also don't want to like, I have that Supro, the Statesman, but it's just in such pristine condition and I was thinking about selling it. I wasn't sure, so I just didn't want it to get worn, but I'll take that to gigs in town. But out of town, it has been the deluxe reverb reissue. In the future, it will be it'll be the Bassman for sure.
Yeah, I feel like I've played some Bassmans, especially those old school ones, and man, there's nothing that sounds quite like it. It's
that. Well, you've got a super reverb?
Yeah.
You didn't sell that thing, right?
No, I didn't. It's like some freak. It's like some Frankenstein. I mean, like between a 67, 68. I think some guy mashed or gal mashed the parts together, but it's it's old. It sounds like $1 million. And dude, I was taking that out to all my LA gigs, like right away, especially when I was trying to like hustle and like have that guy sounds nice, and I was that thing. And it was loud enough to compete with anything, like if the keyboard player, it's like I felt like sometimes the 65 Fender reverb, sometimes you don't have enough juice on it at a club gig, and so like those Bassmans, those super reverbs, I can just compete with anything.
How's 50 watts of tube power, bitch? Yeah,
and I'm like, it's usually, dude, I'm like, it's like off and then it's like too loud. There's like there's like no.
They all have that volume jump at like right around like 1.5 or 2, where it's like, just super duper loud. I remember first time I played on that super reverb though, man. That's a magical sound in amp.
Yeah, it really is. I don't think I don't have any plans of selling it. I rarely sell gear. I know it's like a lot of people are like buying and selling, but I kind of just hang on to stuff because I feel like at some point I'm going to use it, like with a pedal or with a guitar, especially, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just a different school of thinking. I like different cats. Like I ran into, what's this guy, Alan Hines or whatever, at a guitar shop in LA, he's like, how much for that Les Paul? I think some cats are like always like buying,
they're always flipping gear.
Not even flipping, but like always kind of looking for that thing that that next like rush or the next sound. And I get that, but I don't know, sometimes I just like reliable instruments that I know my way around.
That's the thing, is like like an instrument that you really, I hate, even if it's a great guitar, I hate playing at least a gig or a session on a guitar that I'm not super familiar with, Like I know I know what the tone is going to be like on all my guitars at certain parts of
Right.
the neck. You know, I know like, and you know, some of them maybe aren't the most expensive guitar ever. So like, for example, my Gretsch like doesn't always sound the greatest on like the low E and the A string higher up on the neck. It's a little deader sounding, you know, but
Mhm.
maybe I want that tone. But just like knowing the instrument that well. Plus, like, I think, I'm assuming you may kind of get the same way. I get attached to the instruments that I own, you know.
I do.
They're like they're a part of me, or like they're, you know, uh I just kind of fall in love with the instrument, even if it's not an expensive one. Like that Gretsch that I've got, I think I paid like $350 for that thing, but it sounds amazing. And I've got like,
Mhm.
it's been replaced with some like older country gentleman pickups, and it just does the thing that it does super well. Um, and I mean, if I had $3,000, I'd go buy a real old, you know, duo jet or whatever. But I
Right.
also just really love my cheap ass Gretsch, man. It's
Yeah.
great.
And nobody knows. Like, you know, a guitar player knows, but most other crowd
Yeah.
members like have nobody knows. Nobody
Yeah.
can tell the difference. Honestly. Do you guys run backing tracks or no for your
Um, on one of them, yes. On Johnny's, yes, we run tracks, and then on Ben's stuff, no.
yeah, so especially for the
Um,
ones with tracks, like nobody can really tell the tone, you know, or you know, whatever, like the sound.
yeah,
Honestly, I bet you if like we did a blind test of like your Gretsch versus like a $3,000 Gretsch, I bet you first of all the average person would have no idea like what was going on, and
well,
a musician probably like a violinist would still probably have no idea what's going on, and a guitar
yeah.
player may or may not. Like it's like,
So I did a video. Go to my Instagram page. It's Lindon McCarty.
oh, I gotta
Click
follow
that.
you
Click
still.
click the follow button.
Yeah.
Hey bitch. uh, but I did a video a while ago where I was playing for this guy in Chicago who he had like, man, he must have had like 5 or 6 like vintage amazing sounding Gretches, and he let me borrow his Duo Jet to take home. So I have the Pro Jet Electromatic, which is kind of based off of the old Duo Jets, and I took this guitar home and I did a video where I'm just A-being, and you know, it's like not the greatest quality. It's like the microphone recording from an iPhone 6, but you can still hear it really well. It's like, but even in the room, you know, I played them back to back, played very similar kind of stuff on them, and they pretty much sound the same, man. Like there's like a 5 to 10% that old Gretsch has
Mhm.
that mine just does. It's just not going to ever achieve. You know, you can change out whatever you want on it. It's just not going to get there.
Right.
So I think, you know, when you're paying uh 10 times the price, you're getting that extra 5 to 10%. You know what I
Mhm.
mean?
And mathematically, you know, if you have a lot of money, that might not matter, you know. But if you know, if you're a Joe Bonamassa, sure, go do that, you know. But it's like
Yeah.
for you know every other guy or gal, that might be a little bit of change that we don't have, especially right now, dude. So I'm looking at the clock, and I feel like I think I only have Zoom like limits your time unless you purchase something.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Do you want to just end it and then do another one?
Yeah, let's do that. All right, so we're
Okay.
gonna. This is intermission. Pause. All right. All right, we're recording again, part two. I'm gonna take off
We're
this
back.
cow because this cow, dude, is so freaking hot. But
It's
it's like,
either Italian marble or cow. I can't decide.
yeah, dude. I like. I should start wearing a hat too. My hair is like. I feel like I'm one of those. Remember in like the '90s, like the Good Charlotte thing, where they're like their hair would like
Oh
cover.
yeah.
I feel like I'm kind of like getting that, or like that stupid like.
Yeah, man. You got that SR-71 look.
What SR-71? What's that?
That's a band in the same
Oh,
genre era.
dude, I'm not hip, man.
You got to get hip, bro. They
I
were
gotta get hip.
no, don't. It's better things to do with your time. No offense.
I know, man. So, man, so you've been in Nashville 10 months. Do you have do you have any goals or something that you'd want to do in like 5, 10 years, or any things you'd really like to check off your bucket list?
I mean, I think like kind of everybody, it would be great to play the Opry. It would be great to play at the Ryman. I would love to do a tour with a big artist. That's definitely a goal. I think in terms of like, you know, real long-term goals, I mean, of course, of course the touring and all that stuff, but I really would like to be a producer, but not in the sense of like what they call a track guy, where it's like sort of the very modern sense of a producer, where, you know, I sit in my room with my MIDI keyboard and make all the tracks and program everything, and that's cool, and I like doing that stuff, and I do some of it, but I would really like to produce in the sort of like kind of catch-all genre of Americana. But there's a big scene for that here. There's a lot of great bands that are in that scene. I would love to produce records for that scene. I would love to do session work. Obviously, it's kind of disappearing, but you know, guys like Tom Bukovac are my hero, and I'll probably a lot of people really love that guy. Have you seen the videos he's been doing?
Yeah, man. Every day.
Oh my
He
God.
posts a video.
Every day that motherfucker drops some serious wisdom on the guitar community.
It's kind of like a blessing for the guitar community, right?
Oh man, it's amazing, dude. But yeah, I mean, that guy's a huge hero of mine. I've loved him for a long time, and him and like Sean Tubbs, who I know you know because we've watched a bunch of videos of his. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I would say my long-term goal is to be one of those dudes, you know, mm-hmm. do stuff like that. And of course, you know, I'm still writing I got like my own trio and mm-hmm. stuff like that. But just in terms of like being a working guitar player, that definitely is the goal.
So how do you reconcile? I feel like as a working guitar player, it's different than being a producer, right? Like almost like producer encompasses like the whole picture, where a working guitar player, you're kind of doing this one thing. So is there like do you have a preference, or to you is it the same thing?
I mean, it's all music. It's all obviously, but it's all mm-hmm. I guess it's not that I have a preference, it's that I like the different aspects of both things, you know. Doing the working guitar player thing is great, and doing road gigs is great, but I just don't want to be that like 45-year-old dude that's doing nothing but road gigs.
Right.
So, and I mean, I'm a homebody. I like being in town. I love Nashville. You know, that was mm-hmm. another thing where I was like, you know, I love doing road gigs, but I also would like to be able to stay at home for you know, at least part of the year, right. And enjoy such a great town. I mean, it's amazing. So I like that aspect of doing more session work or doing producing. With producing, what I really like about it is that it is sort of looking at the overall concept of a song, the aesthetic concept, or even whole album, mm-hmm. right? And it is sort of like critical thinking in that sense. Whereas like guitar, you're very much just kind of in the moment, making calls, remembering parts and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I love doing session work for the same reason that I love doing producing. It's just that, you know, especially when somebody kind of gives you carte blanche to do whatever you want on their song, they trust you, you know. Mm-hmm. I just love that aspect of somebody coming to me with something that's maybe not complete yet, and or is even like in the very, you know, like demo tape phase, mm-hmm. and saying, what do you imagine this song sounding like at the very end? And then I try and imagine what it sounds like, and then we kind of decide on something together, and then, you know, knowing the guys to call, knowing what studio you want to use, what just all those things, you know, what guitars I want to use, what amps, what microphones. Those things are all really interesting to me. So I always tell people that my idea of what a producer is somebody who helps an artist create achieve a aesthetic vision. And there's varying degrees of that today, but I love the idea of like the old school version of that, you know.
That's a good, I feel like for me, a great producer, and like, you know, they're almost like painting with different colors, you know, a different production, you know, although, you know, like you listen to like the White Album or something like that, it's like it's like a color, you know, or like Electric Ladyland, and then you go through all the great records of, you know, the 20th century, and it's just like there's a vibe to it, as, you know, LA people would say, you know, and then trying to
Nashville
find,
people would say it too.
they would. That's
yeah.
Yeah, man. So I feel like I think ultimately that's why we see so many younger, like, I feel like touring, and especially for pop acts, like you see a lot of younger guys doing that for newer pop acts, and then it's still the case maybe to tour when you're older, but I feel like I see a lot of older guys and gals with older acts, you know. So it's like you see an old guitar player with Paul McCartney, because obviously, you know, you don't want to have like, it just makes sense, you know. Visually. It's like,
it just looks, it looks weird. It makes Paul look older if you're he's got like, you know, a bunch of 20 somethings on stage.
Right. And I guess what I'm trying to say is too, I think a lot of people get the experience on the road, and it may not be for everyone, and so like, where else is there to go? And it's kind of like you said, production or creating records is the next thing. And like, are you, what's your work what's your working, what am I trying to say, are you like working on a lot of records right now because of like the coronavirus? Because I feel like it could go one of two ways, you know, like you could be super busy because like everybody has all the time in the world, or you could just be kind of sitting, you know, on your hands. Because
I've picked up maybe 3 or 4 session gigs, like, you know, fly in like at home stuff, but not much, man. I mean, that's another thing of like wanting to be in town more often, is you need to be in town to do certain things, and sessions is one of those. But I've done a little bit of that. I've also done like you know, like friends are just like, hey, we want to do a cover of this song, you know, like we got nothing else to do, you want to throw some guitar on it, or you want to do the arrangement or whatever. Been doing stuff like that. Excuse me, I've been doing stuff like that, but I've been writing. We were talking, you know, texting about this the other day, and like you know, I've been writing songs and demoing them out and stuff like that. I've been learning a new instrument, man. You want to see my new instrument?
I would.
It's not my instrument. It's my roommate's instrument, but I found out he had it, and I decided to start learning it. This old 1950s lap steel. So
now, how many strings?
Tuned to C6. Yeah, it's a 6 string.
Yeah.
But I've been learning slowly some songs on it. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing with my time, man. Just shedding a lot, writing a little bit, going for runs, you know.
Yep. Same. You and most of America are doing the same thing.
Yeah. I think, and back to the producing thing, I think that a lot of that was of realizing that I wanted to do that was through working with Adam Ness. Because, I mean, while it wasn't like explicit, I'm going to be your producer thing, it was just kind of de facto, that's what happened, right? Write songs together, and then like, you know, the artist doesn't play an instrument, so I'm the one arranging, or I'm the person that calls people for the session or whatever. And I just really fell in love with like meeting an artist who's super talented, writes great songs, but can't achieve all the other things because they don't play an instrument, you know, and they may have an aesthetic a vision as well. And then like, you know, like with Ness and I, our harmonic palette was, you know, like our creative vision was always just so in sync, you know. And when that happened, I was like, man, this is such a cool creative thing, because I'm not going to be the artist, you know. I'm not a great lyricist, so I need help writing songs. And he's not a great instrumentalist, so he needs help writing the songs. So it just kind of happened that way, and I fell in love with that thing. And doing, you know, like Margot's album that who knows if that'll ever even come out,
Right.
but all the other parts for that are finished, you know. Doing that record as well was great, man.
A little backstory for everybody that tuning in. So Adam Ness is a great songwriter, virtuosic singer from Chicago, and him and Lindon were kind of working together to write all the songs. And it was like the MD. They would write the songs together, and you know, they have some albums out. I'll link some of their stuff below in the description. You know, iTunes, Spotify, and all that stuff. So
you can hear one of our songs on I think episode 1 or 2 maybe of the new season of The Chi.
sweet.
If you watch that show.
I don't, but I have.
Which I don't either. If you have HBO.
Yeah. That, I mean, have you gotten into, I mean, it sounds like you got into some licensing and sync work. I mean, that seems to be like a wave, you know, that you could ride that wave if you were so inclined, you know.
You know, I think maybe I've had one other sync license thing, but not much. You did a little bit of that, right?
I did. I've had the one that I did that was worthwhile. First,
that website, right?
Yeah, First hooked me up, and you know, I'm not supposed to talk about it. They made me sign an NDA, but basically, First hooked me up, my buddy, and it was for this company, and it gave me enough money to basically move to LA. It was like the freaking.
I remember, yeah. It was like right when that happened.
And it was like the right time, right place kind of thing. And honestly, it was like, what I think is so crucial is that like this is how I feel like a lot of the world works, the industry works. Like you can upload your whatever to whatever website, whatever database, and that's all fine and good. But literally it was my friend emailing the president saying, hey, this is my friend, check out his music. That day, like 10 minutes later, he's like, okay, cool, I got the perfect thing. You're on this thing. You know, you're on this website, basically. It's like, that is how it works. It's like if I would upload that into the internet, you know, abyss,
gone forever.
It's gone. Nobody knows. It's all about like, and you know, I didn't know that. I've known First for 10 years now. It's like I didn't know that was gonna happen. Like, it's just like, oh, thanks, man. Like, First, my buddy First works for, you know, an ad agency, and he just, anyways, Andrew Firth. But it's crazy, man. So I feel like I'm actually getting Colin Sipos on this kind of interview because I'm launching basically what you are a part of. I want to kind of turn into like a Music 360 project. So interviewing everyone from musicians, guitar players to like, you know, someone like Colin who does, you know, commercial and licensing work. You know, to managers, artists, you know, front of house people, MDs. Like I'm like so curious about, especially because so many people are just sitting at home. And right now, like I'm just talking to a bunch of cats, guys and gals, and just like gonna post it up. So thanks for doing this. You'll be the third person on this series.
Oh, cool! I'm honored.
Yeah. Yes, no, I'm honored, man. Thank you.
Honored to be one of your guinea pigs, man.
My little experiments, dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
How long you been in LA, man?
I've been there, so I'm not there currently. I'm in the Midwest, but I still live there. So I've been there maybe about 15 months, a year and a quarter or something.
Yeah. Okay. That seems. I guess that's it. I guess that's right. It feels like it's been longer than that, but yeah, I don't know.
I feel it's yes and no. I feel like sometimes I don't know. It's wild. Like when I moved there, I feel like I hustled hard and things happened
You
not
did,
quick,
yeah.
not quick, but like, I got to play some cool gigs, and now I
Yeah.
feel like now things are, not slowing down, but like everybody is just sitting at home, so it
Yeah.
feels like forever ago, and it feels like
I
actually
feel like
maybe,
things happen quick for you, man.
I mean, when I was there, yeah, it was definitely one of those things, like from the outside, people would be like, oh, like, it quick. But I think what really happened is, yes, it was part luck, part being prepared, and part like hustling really hard. Like every day, like
Dude,
I went out
I
every
think
day.
it's because you work your ass off, man. I'm sorry, go ahead though.
No, no,
Ain't
no.
no luck.
No, but yeah, it's like I went out every day until about a year ago, actually, today, I played Coachella with Kanye West. And every day until that day, I was out like hustling, whether it's like just at jam sessions, playing gigs, getting coffee with folks, like just freaking letting people use my gear if someone needed something. Like, so I feel like that's really where it comes into play. It's just like
Oh yeah.
hustling your ass off, just like you're doing, just like anyone that moves to a new city has to do. It's like you got to get out and be top of mind, because there's so many great players in every city. Like, how is anyone supposed to remember? Like, you got to be the guy
Yeah.
that they call, and the guy that they call is going to be the last person they think of. And the last person they think of is usually the last person they texted, last person they saw, the last Instagram video they saw. It's like
Yep.
all that stuff has to be working, clicking.
Letting them know you exist, and then
Yeah,
showing up and killing it, of course. But
right.
like
That helps.
the road gig, like I was saying, that I was able to like basically be working full time within, like conservatively, let's say a month, I was working
Right.
full time, but it may have
That's
even been like
amazing,
2 weeks. It was great. But aside from laying the groundwork and like having friends and stuff, it was the same thing. It was like going out. I didn't quite go out every single night, but it was almost every night. And it was, something. It was to go see a show. But really what helped me get gigs was going to sit in. I would go down to Broadway, and my buddy Rob was on a lot of bass and guitar gigs. He kind of switches between both, but I think he was on a bass gig that night. The guitar player who let me sit in is an amazing guitar player named Cole Phillips, and he plays for a bunch of people, gets a bunch of calls, obviously has to turn down some of that. He knew I was new to town, and then he heard me play. Afterwards, he came and got my number, and he was like, dude, I'm going to throw you every gig that I can't do for the next like couple months.
Amazing.
And he did that. And like, I feel like I still never hung out with that guy, but we talk every now and then on the internet,
Right.
But that guy, just from that one situation, I got the majority of the work that I've had for the past 10 months.
And sometimes,
And
yeah, it just takes one person.
yeah, but I mean, but it probably isn't going to take, it takes just one person, but not just one time, like leading up to that and even after that. And still, once this is over, I'll go back and do the same shit. It's like almost every night, go see a show, go sit in, or, book your own originals thing, or make a video, something like that, super important, man. And it keeps you motivated too, man. Like I'll be at home, and it's like going to the gym, right? We've talked about that before, but like I'll be at home knowing that I have these plans to go out that night, and I'm like so comfortable at home, like, man, I don't want to get in my car and go down there, and then I don't want to have to get on stage and then be like, so what song do you want to play? I just hate being under I hate thinking about being under the gun. But that's why you practice, right? And then I'll go out and I'll actually do the thing, and I'll sit in, and it'll be great. Sometimes it'll be terrible, but either way, if it's great or terrible, afterwards I'm done and I'm like, man, I'm really happy I did that. I'm really motivated to shed,
Yep.
really motivated to like be involved in this community and all that, So it just takes that first like stepping out of the door to go
Hmm.
do it, you know.
That is the hardest part. Yeah, we've talked about that before, but that for anybody listening, that's definitely the hardest part.
Yeah.
It's like just getting going, and then it's like inertia. You kind of just keep going.
Yeah, you just keep doing it, and it keeps getting easier, you know. Like, you don't get as, like, I think I personally, I will always be a little bit nervous going up to sit in with a bunch of people that I've never played with, and they don't know
Hmm.
anything about me. They're probably like,
Right.
this fucking guy, you know. I'm always going to think that, but it gets
Yeah.
you know, it's not
Hmm.
debilitating after a while.
For me, the one crucial concept that I tried to implement is like when I go to jam sessions or when I go to whatever, I like to go with an individual that like knows everybody. So let's say you go with one other person and that individual knows the whole band and they can introduce you. So, you know, it's like, oh, hey, what's up? Alec Lindon, cool. You know what else? And then you sit in
Yeah,
later and it's like, you're not just like this random like guy, like,
yeah, you got a little street cred. Yeah,
yeah, you're like, oh, he's
yeah.
legit cool. Like to me, that is so important. It sounds like you did that as well. Like, so you're
I
just
did, but
like,
I cold called a couple, man. You know, I'd go
yeah,
and show up at a spot, and you know, on Broadway, it's all like, you know, it's all like cougars and just, you know, drunk
yeah,
bros,
hmm,
and so if you're a musician, you stick out like a sore thumb. I'd be like kind of by the door, drinking
yeah,
like either a water or like the cheapest beer possible,
yeah,
and then they walk around with the tip jug, and they'll be like, hey, and then you just drop it in. They're like, are you a musician? That happened several times. They'd be like, are you a musician? I'd be like, yeah, I'm new to town, I'm just checking stuff out. And they'd be like, you want to sit in? Because these gigs are 4 hours straight, no breaks. So to take a break, to you know, like go take a bathroom break or something, like either the singer has to play an acoustic song or somebody has to sit in on your instrument.
hmm,
So everybody wants somebody to sit in, so it's pretty easy, and everybody's really nice too, you know,
hmm.
supportive. But so I did do the cold call thing a couple of times. It was terrifying. Still
Sounds like
is,
it worked
man.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, it was fine. But you know, even if you know all the songs and you know you practiced all day long, you know that you're going to kill it, it's still terrifying to go up on stage with people who've
right,
never heard you
right.
play
Yeah, there's
somebody else's guitar. I'm short, so the guitar always hangs down to
yeah.
my fucking knees, you know.
I know. I always feel like Slash. You know, it's like Guns N' Roses style, dude. It's like
Yeah,
you're playing like some crazy, like, yeah. It's. I feel you, man. I feel you. So it sounds like things are working out, though. I mean,
that's great, man. Yeah,
it's as far as they can work out until I feel like everybody had so much inertia, you know, so much momentum going a little bit ago.
yeah,
And now, what do you think is like gonna happen? I feel like 2020 might be a wash for the road. I don't know.
yeah.
Are
I
things?
think I think so. Yeah, especially for big tours.
Yeah.
Um, like weekend runs, I could see it happening. And so, like I think we have some Florida gigs coming up, and you know, in states where the governor's like real lax about
Right.
stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but you know, I feel like gigs will happen in a few months for those. But
Hmm.
you know, I know you had a real big tour coming up that got canceled, which just
It
sucks.
actually, what's crazy, it has not gotten canceled actually yet.
What?
I've been checking. Yeah, I've been checking the website, and there's no word. Um, whether or not it does, you know, I think only time will tell. I can
Yeah,
say it probably doesn't look good, but right
yeah.
now, tickets are still selling and whatever. So we'll see. I think
Holy
it really,
shit.
yeah. So I don't know. The future is very uncertain.
Yeah.
But, what do you think?
So yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
no, what were you
I
gonna
got I got nothing. I don't even
say?
remember at this point. Go ahead, go ahead.
Dude, I feel like so like say there's no tours, you know, what do we transition to? Because I think, you know, weddings, which is every musician plays weddings. You know, I feel a lot of weddings of my friends and, you know, relatives and stuff got canceled this summer as well.
Yep,
So like there's
yep.
even our not our backup plan, but like our local gigs, you know, whatever you'd call it, local wedding gigs and surrounding, you know, within the 2 hour radius, those
Yeah,
are probably not going to happen either.
yeah,
So church will still happen, you know,
yeah. Church will happen.
church will happen. And It's delivering pizzas might have to happen. It's like, I don't know, like.
Hell yeah. I mean, it might actually have to happen. And,
Right.
it's just the way it is. I,
Right.
I don't know if you've had to deal with this, but my state is not set up for self-employed workers for unemployment. And because I've been paying taxes and like paying in and not getting money back, I don't have a direct deposit system set up with the IRS.
Right.
So I didn't get the first stimulus check. I didn't get unemployment. I had to spend hours and hours applying for grants, one of which I did get and one I haven't heard back. So that's what I've been doing financially. And then, of course, I'm going to have to go and navigate the whole unemployment system and try and figure out if I can at least get something. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's going to be go deliver pizzas, or I've been thinking about getting like a restaurant job or something, like as a line chef, just because like cooking's kind of a hobby.
Yeah.
So something like that. But the in-town gigs, yeah, church will happen. There'll still be session work here or there, but I mean, if nobody's making money, that's going to dry up too, because the artists got to pay people. So
So hopefully it doesn't come to that. I'm hoping it doesn't, man. I hope you can still play that guitar of yours and make the money, and because that's the dream. I hope you don't have to be a line chef, but
I was thinking about this the other day, man. Like, I've been doing this. I've been playing professionally, man, since at least 18, if not before that. And this is all I know how to do. And it's not so much the sunken cost fallacy as it is this is what I've got. It is partially that, in that I've spent all this time doing it. It's the thing that I can do the best, no doubt. And also I just love it, man. Like, if I've got to deliver pizzas for 6 months, so I can have something to come back to, that's what I'm going to do. The guitar is not extinct. It's not going away. Music's not extinct. It's not going away. It's still going to be there. People are still going to want to see live shows. And if I've got to do some bullshit to pay my bills, I'm still going to come home and play guitar for 6 hours and, stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning next to a bottle of whiskey and recording songs. That's going to happen.
By the way.
Yeah.
That's very Nashville.
That's what I did last night.
I'm surprised you're up right now, like moving.
Oh, I got up at 9 o'clock, man. I just woke up.
What?
I couldn't go back to sleep. So,
dang, you got the metabolism like an 18-year-old. You can just get up after drinking whiskey till 4 a.m.
I mean, I wasn't drinking heavy. I only had a couple of glasses, but it was mainly I was up because I was writing stuff. I was kind of on a track, dude. On that tip, have you? I feel like that was a very Chicago thing to say. On that tip, my white ass. Have you checked out the Neural DSP archetype Plenty? Have you checked that plugin out?
Yeah, they sent it to me, but I need like a what is it? The lock, the eye lock or whatever?
Yeah.
Like to activate it?
Do you have the account? No, you can register it to your computer. Maybe after this, I'll kind of like talk you through it.
Please, because I have it, but I don't know how to use it, so I haven't used it.
Their customer support right now is great. Like, it must just be like 10 people sitting at home answering emails, because they got right back to me. They helped my ass out. But I had already done a trial. I haven't bought it yet. I'd already done a trial with them. It was like a 14-day trial, and I just like loved the sounds. Have you listened to Plenty?
Yes.
Or Pliny or what? I don't know how you pronounce it, whatever. But I loved the plugin and just didn't have the use for it, you know, like I just wasn't recording anything in that genre. So I did. I saw that they had another 14-day trial. Even if you've already done one before, they would give you another one. So I did it, and I've got it right now. And I was just like, that's why I was up last night. So I was like geeking out on that plugin. Then I started writing something that, kind of in that genre of like heavier stuff. And just like got so inspired by the tone of those things, man.
I'm gonna check it out again.
It's a great plugin, man. It's a very, very genre. I feel very genre specific plugin. Sort of in the way that like Slate drums is all like, you know, commercial sounding drums that are just hit hard and crushed. That sort of thing. What is your rig these days, man?
I'll show you.
It's your podcast, but
yeah, I know. It's so I got this Iridium.
Oh yeah, dude.
I got the Big Sky, and then this is like a Josh Smith Chula boost, and it's like a boost overdrive kind of thing. And that's what I've been using. And then I kind of like for heavier stuff, I use this the Angry Charlie.
Yeah, okay.
3. But honestly, that's about it. For other fuzz stuff, I use this 200 Pounds of Gold. It's a love pedal. It's kind of like an Eric Johnson vibe.
Okay.
And that's basically it, man. Like, I had to take just what I could carry basically out of LA. And that's what I flew with. And I have no regrets, honestly. Like, any delays I can do, you know, with plugins.
Yeah.
But the hardest thing for me is like, so the Strymon to me sounds like $1 million, and it's way smaller than a Helix or a Kemper or even a Fractal. And then like getting a nice like gritty overdrive sound, because you can get heavy overdrives with plugins, I feel like. But like getting a nice like like a sweeter overdrive, that is the hardest. Like a Morning Glory or you know, AC Boost or whatever. You know, there's a million things, but that's what I really need. And so I've had a lot of success with the Iridium. Like that, you know, it's
dude, the demos sound amazing, man. And that was the plan. Is I was actually going to buy one of those, because I've been bringing my computer to church gigs, because they want, you know, they want the no amp thing.
Of course. And the Iridium just sounds so amazing. And I've checked out the what is it, the HX Stomp? Yeah. Is that's the new one? And it's not bad. It's amazing for what it is, you know? Yeah. I just don't need 10 shitty phasers. You know what I mean? Like, I want something that does like 3 things really well. And that's what the Iridium is, you know? Right. So you're kind of with it. You like the Iridium? I like the Iridium. I like the Stomp for what it is. Like, literally, you could pack the Stomp in your gig bag and fly to play the biggest venue in the world, and your sound is going to be the same. The Iridium is amazing. It sounds like $1 million. Downside here, I'll show you the downside. This is what the back looks like. There's no XLR, you know? Yeah. So if you were playing a venue or something and you're using this, you're going to need to have like a, what am I thinking of right now? Yeah, exactly. You're going to need to bring your own DI box, because you don't need to confuse sound people more than they're already, you know, they're disgruntled people, you know? It's like, you don't want to mess with them, you know? Dude, all right, there's some things about sound guys. I love them all. But, me too. They can make or break your show. Dude, they sometimes just have the biggest sometimes they'll be like super nice and you're like, I love that sound guy. Yeah. And sometimes they're screaming fucking asshole. Yeah. But they all love Larry Carlton and Steve Lukather. Dude, every sound, here's every sound guy up. Man, yeah. You ever heard that? You know that session guitar player, man? Fucking Steve Lukather. It's just like and Larry Carlton, man, and like smooth jazz, like foreplay. They like to like sound check with like smooth jazz. It's so clean. At least those are great players. So I'm glad that I haven't had any experiences with that type of. Oh, I love both of those guys. Well, right. It could be like, man, you ever heard of, you know, some shitty ass like hair metal band? Right. But But yeah, man, sound people, we love all of you. You make or break the show. Literally,
Yeah,
you're the
love you guys.
like for real. You guys make the show. But it's yeah, there are some, especially at local clubs. You know, we've been every Chicago club has that one guy or gal. Anyways, don't mean to talk too much shit.
No,
So,
I'm just joking around, man.
I
I'm
know,
joking
me
around.
too. But it's like there's so much truth in it. You know, it's like that's what. Yeah. Anyways, man. So
Yeah, that Strymon's cool, man. I was looking at the back of it, and I think the only other downfall that I see is that there's not even downfall. It's just like a little hurdle. Is like what it's either the in or the out is not stereo.
the the out is stereo. The in is mono.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hurdle as well.
So if I was to run something like that, especially at church, I like running out of my interface stereo because I've got that Eventide H9 and I've got the Strymon Timeline, which are both stereo, and they're both the algorithms are made for the sound to be stereo. You're not really getting the true sound of the pedal unless you're running stereo. So to be able to do that on the Strymon, you have to get that summing cable,
right?
You know. But I mean, whatever, you know, what is that, like a $20 purchase? It's not that big of a deal,
right? I think for the price, which is $3.99 or whatever, and for the real estate, you can't beat the sound. But yeah,
dude.
there's definitely some hangups about it. But honestly, if they would have put XLR and stereo in and out, that would have been it. It would have been over. Like,
Yeah,
because you could literally just throw that at the end of your pedal board wherever you go. You know, it's like, okay, cool. This is a DI gig, cool. You add that little box and you're golden. Versus, you know, Kemper is not that big. It's a lunchbox. It's more real estate for sure.
man. I think one of the plugins that I have started using recently, for sometimes for session stuff, or for the church gig or whatever, is this package that comes with the Slate Everything bundle, which is something that I use for like mixing and stuff. But it's called THU Overloud, and they've got a bunch of like modeled amps in there, you know, like Bassman, Fender, Blackface, all that stuff. But they've got this thing called the Rig Player, and it is the most blatant stealing of intellectual property that I've ever seen, but I love it. So what they did is they modeled a Kemper. And I think what they did is they learned how to reverse engineer the Kemper file. So they essentially made a Kemper player, but you can't make your own profiles. So you have to buy the profiles from them, but they're amazing. They sound awesome. And it's not quite a real amp, but neither is a Kemper.
Right.
But to my ears, it sounds almost the same as that Kemper thing, where there's like maybe some natural built-in compression to the algorithm or something that just gives it that Kemper sound. But mainly just that it is extremely realistic reaction from the amp. You know, you're never going to get that air and like amp in the room sound that you have tracking with a real amp, but the response, the feel, the touch of an amp is what this thing has. It's pretty crazy, man.
What's that called?
It's called, okay, so it's in the Slate Everything bundle. So, you know, people listening, if you have the Slate Everything bundle, you already have this thing I'm talking about. But the company is called Overloud, I think. But it's the full name of the plugin is THU Overloud Rig Player.
Got it.
Yeah. It's real interesting, man. It is a super cool, versatile plugin. I've done I'd say even the majority of the session work that I've done, if it is like anything R&B or gospel or, you know, something where it's not guitar out front,
right,
then I'm tracking with that. if it's
I'm gonna
something
check
that
that
gets
out.
buried a little bit. Yeah.
I used to have Slate, and I just discontinued it because I wasn't using it very much recently. But I might check that out again.
Oh, it's the best value. They make great stuff, man.
They do. Yeah, I had that everything bundle for a bit. The $15 a month or something, or whatever the price
Yeah, I
is.
think I do the yearly is like 100 and some change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a great deal, great concept too. Everybody's changing to that subscription style. Like, you don't even buy. Remember when plugins were like $1,000 or something? It's like now
Yeah,
it's just
but I do like owning. I do like owning something. I
Mhm.
don't like having an iLok for everything.
Right.
And that's one of the downsides of it. But what I love about Logic is it's like one time $300 payment. You own
Mhm.
it forever.
Right. I think it's
And
cheaper now.
is it, dude? Pro
I think
Tools
so.
is like ridiculous. Like, Pro Tools is what, like $1,000 or something? I don't even know.
I don't know.
But it's also like now at this point, it's like a $300 a year subscription or something like that. It's just super overpriced, man. You can get the same thing out of Logic.
Right. You can. I guess if you're, I don't know. I think different lanes use it.
Sure.
If you're a commercial, whatever, corporate kind of culture, you're going to probably use Pro Tools. And I don't know. It's like now I definitely think Logic is, I'm not like a DAW expert by any sense, but I feel like Logic definitely and Ableton are definitely uh, 2 and 3, like right behind Pro Tools now,
Man,
and
yeah,
more
I've
respectable.
never tracked in Ableton. Seems like it would be really weird.
I haven't either, but a lot of people use it
Yeah.
because they get quick workflow.
Have you done session work? Didn't we text the other day and you were like you were on a session?
Have I done session work? Question mark. Ever?
Out there in LA.
Oh yeah.
Smart
Yeah.
ass. I know you've done session work.
No, yeah. So there's some producers that have been hitting me up that need guitars tracked and able to do that. And there's so many hours in the day, man. It's like you know you can knock that out in an hour. Maybe
Yeah.
less. So
Mm-hmm.
so.
You do usually from home, or are you going into studios and stuff?
Are you talking in general in LA? Well, if
Yeah.
I could in LA, I would go into the studio, but if I can stay home, that's always better.
Work in your underwear. Yeah, it's great.
So exactly. But yeah, I think LA's definitely been good to me. But when I've gone in to track, I think the one thing I would love to get is what I need for my rig is a splitter where it's like wet and dry. Because like so many producers are, like let me get that delay off, or let me get, the reverb off.
Yeah, and they want to go and reamp everything, or
Yeah. So that's my next purchase is to get like
Mhm.
a stereo or whatever, a splitter between wet and dry. So I can be like, all right, here's how I want it to sound. But if you want to mess it up, pitch
Yeah,
it down, whatever. Like,
fuck my shit up, dog.
yeah.
Uh, I think I have seen studios do that with a DI,
hmm
just a regular DI.
I went to Greg Sparrow's and I did some session work for him, and that's what he used.
Oh, he's out there. I forgot about that.
He is out there,
Man, what
yeah.
a monster player, dude.
Monster player. A super nice human
Monster.
being. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a monster.
Who's he playing for these days?
So he was touring with Halsey, that pop artist, a
Yeah.
while back. And now he is focusing on his own music.
Okay.
He has a band called Spirit Fingers, which he leads. And then there is it's like Hadrian Farah and like I don't even know if I was pronouncing that right. And then Mike Mitchell on drums.
No shit. Does Mike live out there?
Mike lives out there. Yeah, he's actually lives on my street on
Oh,
Kendall.
no way. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. And actually, there's this other guy, Max Girl, who's been playing bass for him.
Okay.
And who else? There's a guitar player too. He actually asked me to play guitar, and I was like, "Bro, I
What?
love you, but like I'm the wrong guy.
Ah, what?
There's some of his music, like for his Spirit Fingers, because some of his music is like in like, you
He
know,
does
like
like
17/9.
yeah, he does like modern jazz and stuff. Yeah.
It's like super gnarly, and it's like it's amazing, but it's
Was he using
sometimes
Colin Cook?
Colin, yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude, Colin's a motherfucker. I met that
Colin,
guy on a jam session in LA. He's a fucking amazing guitar player.
he is so good. He is so good. It could do all that modern style, like, you know, fly like a Lamborghini and just like all
Oh
that
man,
stuff
I
that I
love his
cannot
playing,
do.
man.
Like, yeah, he's incredible. And super nice guy too. Um,
Yeah.
so, but anyways, yeah, that was the situation where I had to go DI. Not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
my next purchase.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's cool, man.
yeah. So, what do you think, man? You think we should wrap up here?
Yeah, dude. I could, I mean, you and I could have a
Yeah,
conversation for several more hours, but yeah, in
I
terms of the
know.
podcast, for sure.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on with me. All right, guys
Dude,
and gals.
I very much appreciate it, man.
Yeah, of course, man. Guys and gals, thanks for tuning in. I am going to be posting a bunch of Lindon's social media or his email address if you want to take some lessons or hit him up for session work, and some of his original music as well, Spotify, iTunes, all that fun stuff. So thank you guys for tuning in, and peace out.
All right.